What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest channel and podcast. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you are listening to this on YouTube, then please just go ahead and hit that like button. It's like walking into the room without turning on the light switch. You just want to make it brighter. And let's just go ahead and get into this conversation. Ye, formerly known as Kanye West, I want to respect his name change, even though a lot of people don't respect a lot of the things that he has been saying, and for a number of reasons, rightfully so. I'm not here to talk about the t-shirt fiasco. I'm not here to talk about the anti-Semitic comments that he made against the J community. I'm not here to talk about any of that. What I wanted to discuss is that I don't really know why Ye has been on this kick of talking about George Floyd so much. I don't know if it's a donor's regret or buyer's remorse, because he reportedly did donate a large sum of money to George Floyd's daughter when all of this stuff was going down in 2020, right? And now it's being reported that the daughter of George Floyd's mother, Roxy Washington, announced that she was suing him for $250 million on behalf of the child. Okay, here's what I wanted to say. I do not want to sit here and act as if the comments that Ye made were not inappropriate when it comes to George Floyd, because it was ruled in court. It was ruled in court. Whether people agree with the rulings or not, people have the right to their opinions. But whether you agree with the rulings that court and the autopsy, the person who did the autopsy came to by saying that George Floyd lost his life not due to fentanyl being in his system, but due to asphyxiation by the police officers kneeling on his neck. I don't know why he chose to go there and even talk about this man. So again, I don't know if it's because he was feeling regret about the amount of money that he donated, and now that he seems to be really close with Candaceowens, and Candaceowens, prior to all of this, but after the death of George Floyd, she was making a lot of comments about George Floyd. And some people agreed with some of the things that she said. Some people agree with almost everything that she said. And there are a lot of people that didn't agree with anything that she said. But him having this closer relationship with Candaceowens now, it's not that surprising to me that he's making these comments about George Floyd, because a lot of it is in line with the thoughts that she had about him and the things that she has shared about George Floyd after his untimely passing. So the fact that he's talking about all of these things now, to some people, it's like, why is he doing this? But to me, I just kind of connected the dots, and in my opinion, it seems as if it has a lot to do with him having more communication with Candaceowens. So I feel like a lot of the things that he was saying, he was sharing her talking points. He shouldn't have said anything at all. And I said this already, that when you are in that status of having so much access and money and being declared a billionaire, it's really expensive to speak your mind. And a lot of people may not agree with it and think that it's fair. We don't live in a free society if we can't really speak freely and all those different things like that. But there are consequences to your actions. And when you have a lot of money, especially, let's just be honest, if you are someone that has more pigment in your skin than others, and you want to say, well, if he wasn't a black man, then they wouldn't be coming down as hard on him as they have been. Well, if you already know that, then why do it? Why buck the system and try it to see if they're going to treat you differently, right? he shouldn't have even done it. So he shouldn't have said a lot of the things that he has said about George Floyd in terms of how he actually died. I don't know why he had to go out there and make those comments. But if he said things differently, if he chose to talk about George Floyd for whatever reason, it's possible that more people would be agreeing with him when it comes to George Floyd. And if they were going to try to threaten him with a lawsuit, if he came out and said, you know what, George Floyd, he shouldn't have lost his life. He shouldn't have been treated the way that he was treated, and he lost his life. That's not cool. But the way some people have made George Floyd out to be a martyr, to name streets after him, to create statues with his face and different things like that. He wasn't a civil rights leader, so I don't believe that he should have had those types of acknowledgments. But hey, if the city and the courts awarded his family money on the civil side based on what happened, then fine. But the nation should not be making him out to be a civil rights leader. If Kanye West had said it like that, versus him coming on and saying he didn't really die because of the knee that was on his neck, he actually died because of fentanyl in his system, I don't think a lot of people would be disagreeing with him about that, because I don't agree with George Floyd having streets named after him or having statues created of him and different things like that, because unfortunately there have been a lot of people that have died unjustly and they didn't get any type of recognition, let alone all of the recognition that George Floyd and his family received, as well as the money and the donations and the court awards and all of those different things like that. I don't think a lot of people would be disagreeing, because when I think of people like Abner, I believe his name was Abner Louima, many years ago, he didn't die, but he was tortured in a police station in New York where they rammed a plunger up his rectum. I can't even imagine what that is like. You know, like Tamir Rice, a child who lost his life, he was on a tricycle playing with a toy gun and he lost his life. And I don't believe the family of Tamir Rice got the same type of assistance and recognition that George Floyd's family got. So if you compare Kanye or Ye to Alex Jones, who was pushing all of the conspiracy theories about the Sandy Hook school and the shooting that happened there and all of those children that unfortunately lost their lives, and so many people grabbed a hold of those talking points and those conspiracies and all of the things that he was spewing out for many, many, many years. And we know they recently ruled against him in court, and those families got awarded, I believe, almost close to $1 billion, which I don't think he'll ever be able to pay. But people were going Looney Tunes, and they were going after the families and threatening them and doing all kinds of despicable things because of what Alex Jones was saying on his platform, all the while making money off of that as well. Ye is as crazy and as kooky as the comments were that he made about George Floyd, and can be definitely shown to be wrong. Suing Ye for $250 million because of the comments that he made, how, besides their feelings being hurt, besides them being angry and outraged and all of the other feelings that they do have the right to feel, I'm not saying they don't have the right to feel whatever way they want to feel, but $250 million, I don't know. Are people contacting the Floyd family and threatening them and saying, in the name of Ye, we're doing this? Because Ye came out and said that George Floyd didn't really die because of the police. He actually had fentanyl in his system, and that's what really took him out. Like, is that really what is happening, or are they just being greedy? Now, since it's been reported that the mother is intending to sue Ye for $250 million, he's calling them out, and he's saying that they're being greedy. So he says, after Roxy Washington, the mother of George Floyd's daughter, Gianna, announced that she was suing him for that amount of money, on behalf of the child, of course, right? He responded on Instagram, and he reminded her that he donated $2 million to Gianna before the city of Minneapolis settled with the family for $27 million. So he says, now for Roxy Washington and Roxy Washington alone, I gave $2 million out of my pocket for the family to help George's daughter, your daughter. You're either being controlled or you're greedy. How much did BLM give? Many gave words. I acted. Now, because of words, you want to sue me for $250 million when I'm going through an economic lynching, a digital lynching, a social credit score bankrupting. You're either being controlled or you're being greedy. But you better get you some business. Then he continues and says, for God, get mad. This is how you try someone who was there for your family. You will never get money from no one else. And to the Floyd family, I apologize to you and the Black community for my comments on Drink Champs. Humbly, now come get Roxy before she mess up all y'all money. The Bible is the umbilical cord. Stay connected. Now, I don't know what that's supposed to mean, that, comment right there. But as much as you want to disagree with Ye, or you do disagree with Ye, I believe a lot of people agree with him on this situation, because to me, and I've said this before and I will say this again, if you are in the United States of America, we are in the Sue SA. People want to sue people to hit a lick. They want to come up. And more often than not, when these cases are accepted, if the opposing party doesn't get a motion for dismiss filed and approved in court, and agreed upon by the court to have that case dismissed, then more often than not, they're going to settle out of court, because it costs more to litigate a case than it costs to settle out of court, because courts are a business and people are in the business of suing people to come up. Sometimes the lawsuits are warranted and justified, but unfortunately, a lot of times for most people who deserve to win in court, who have really been harmed and hurt in a number of ways that hurt them economically, a lot of times people like myself who have been wronged economically by others, we don't get compensated by going through court. We have to hope and pray that what people have sown, they're going to reap it, and we will get paid on the back end for things that we were wrong for on the front end. Because suing people in court who are either beneath you, and I don't even want to say beneath you as if you're better than them, but I'm talking about financial wise, what's the point? You get a paper judgment you can't collect on. Tell me how I know. Okay. So for them to either be doing this or threatening to do this, it's because even though he may not be deemed a billionaire anymore, it's because he has money. If Ye or Kanyewest, however you call him today, or whatever he's calling himself today, if he was just some person that was working at Jiffy Lube and was out here on social media saying the same things that Kanye West did, but again, this is someone that works at Jiffy Lube, would the Floyd family be threatening to sue this person for $250 million? Let's just be honest. And we already know the answer to that. It does make him seem as if he is right on when it comes to this, when he said you're either being controlled or you are greedy. And in my opinion, it sounds like it could be both. Because when I talked about this a couple of years ago, when it was like all of these different people, companies, organizations, because of what was going on with all of the protests across the country and people were trying to fan the flames, to cool things down because people were out here in these streets protesting. Some areas were getting vandalized and people were getting outrageous and crazy and all these different things out here. People were trying to calm the flames and wanting to have the discussion about race and all of these other things, when prior to that, most people were just living their everyday lives and not really thinking about that. But people were trying to be a bit more sensitive during that time. So people were in their emotions and in their feelings. So people were just throwing money at the Floyd family at that point. You had Barbara Streisand, of all people, like donating all of this money in Disney stocks to George Floyd's daughter. Like, so many things that they compiled. Like, if I made a list of all of the companies and organizations and people that gave to the Floyd family because of what happened to George Floyd and feeling sorrow and sympathy for them, I feel like they should be set, seriously. And so he made these comments on the Drink Champs interview, which was taken down off of YouTube. Now they're saying they want to sue him because of the comments that he made. But how did that economically damage you? How did that cause any more harm to come your way? Again, I'm not agreeing with what he said. Not at all. I'm not saying what he said was right. But what I am definitely saying is that it is making them look like they're being greedy. And I'll read some comments that some people are saying. One person said, I agree, she is being greedy. Another person said, Ye's not wrong for that one, though. So this, and again, I'm reading comments. I'm actually reading these comments from the Sandra Rose blog. Someone else says, so George was worth more to this family dead than alive. He was a straight up junkie who had a high chance of dying from an OD. Where is the MF and lie? Kanye is mentally ill and off his meds, but he is telling the truth about this. Someone says, y'all only cared about George because the media said you should. He was just another addict you would walk past and ignore. His own family didn't even give a damn about him. Enough with the fake outrage. The family is just being greedy at this point because Floyd was a junkie from long time and would have OD'd. And another person said, none of us gave an F about George's dusty life. We cared about his manner of death. Another one says, all of them are leeches and greedy. George Floyd was a drug addict and fentanyl helped with his death. Why didn't they help him while alive? Rehab, the whole family are leeches. Someone else said lawyers are expensive. They are obviously using the money set aside for the child. They don't have any money. The child does. The money will be gone by the time the child reaches its 16th birthday. Someone else says nobody wants to work for a living. They probably already spent the money set aside for the child. Someone else says $250 million makes no sense. That is greedy. They need to stop using the child as an excuse to get free money. Someone else says sad but true. He was worth more to them dead than alive. And these are just a lot of the comments, but again, not saying people are agreeing with what Ye said in terms of him talking about the manner of death in which George Floyd left this earth. But if he wanted to speak on George Floyd, which he should not have, he shouldn't have even said anything about him out in the public like that. He just shouldn't have said anything. Again, having all that money, it's expensive to open your mouth and give your opinions on things like this. But if he came out and said, listen, you all know about the George Floyd story. I even gave money to the family because I was really feeling for what happened and just seeing the video of him losing his life on camera. Look, every one of us felt that way. But listen, I felt like the Black Lives Matter movement and the George Floyd protests and all of those things were just taking it a bit too far with naming streets after him, creating statues of his face, doing things in his honor in that way as if he was a civil rights leader, because he wasn't. Sad that he lost his life, but he should not be made a martyr for the sake of him being like someone like Emmett Till, who was a child who lost his life due to lynching, or Medgar Evers, or Martin Luther King Jr., or Malcolm X, just to name a few. People, for the most part, wouldn't be able to disagree with that. So the anger and the outrage that the Floyd family is expressing right now in terms of saying, you know what, you need to keep your mouth shut and keep George Floyd's name out of your mouth. Well, when it comes to them trying to sue him and saying it's going to cost you, to most people, it's really looking like they're just greedy and out for money, period. And this is the type of thing that I'm saying I am just completely over when it comes to these lawsuits and people just looking at these as opportunities to get money. Listen, I was in a car accident last year. I know I'm not going to be made to be a multimillionaire from that lawsuit. I'm just trying to get what's rightfully due to me, okay? Because my car was totaled. I was injured in a car accident. And these people don't want to pay anything. I'm not out here trying to take these people out for all they have because I was in a car accident, even though the girl was negligent and the accident should have never happened. But I digress. Being greedy when it comes to these lawsuits is just something that I just don't have the tolerance for. One of the reasons why I got out of the legal field many years ago. I'm just so over it. And when it comes to this situation, it's been reported that she is filing a lawsuit in some areas. Some people are saying that she has filed a lawsuit. Some are saying it's being considered. I'm actually hoping that they don't win. Not in this situation. I don't think that it's right for them to come after Kanye for $250 million because he made statements that we all know was rules in court to not be the truth. So you guys can let me know your thoughts about this in the comments section. And thank you so much for liking and subscribing. And until the next time, this is Beth, and I'm just being beautifully honest.